I dislike invocations of race. I dislike like the word racial diversity, for instance. I think is like should never be said. Black people are not a race. I firmly believe that. Black people are, an ethnic group. What is very real is racism. Racism is very, very real. And the way racism works is by creating race, by delineating, by saying that black people are a separate race. Anybody who has traveled the world understands that what black people are in the United States is not what black people are in Brazil, and it's not what black people are in South Africa. Anybody with any reading of history understands that what white people are today is not what white people were 100 years ago, and maybe even 50 years ago. And probably won't be what white people will be 100 years from now. That it changes, right? Victimizing people through power never requires a consistent application of a consistent definition of who those people are. One of my favorite terms, this guy who was, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I'm going to get it wrong, but he was the mayor of Vienna, the turn of the 20th century. And he was a vicious anti-Semite. And he had all of these like Jewish friends, right? And people would say, how you have this vicious anti-Semite? You got all these Jewish friends. And he told them, I decide who's a Jew. And when I read that, like it made sense. It made sense. While here in America, people decide who's niggas and who's not. I mean, there was an active decision. One tribe was a real thing. You can see it in law. There was a decision made to say, we're going to draw the line here. It's not a real, actual biological demonstrative thing. And if you can understand that, and if you can see people with power doing that across the board, during Stalin's purges, he, went after this group of people called the kulaks, and the kulaks were supposed to be, peasant farm owners, right? But at the end of the day, a kulak was who Stalin didn't like. That's what it became. He decided who was a kulak, right? But that didn't prevent him from, making war upon, a group of people who he deemed as kulaks. I say all that to say that if you have varied interests, right, but a singular theme, you can start to see things, And for African Americans, I think it's essential because you begin to see your humanity. You begin to see that you are not a problem. That it has nothing particular to your pigment. Nothing particular to the curl of your hair, the fullness of your lips. It means nothing. It's all about power. And what is happening to you is happening to other people in the world and has happened to other people in the world. And 500 years ago, what you think of, as yourself as, this sort of eternal thing, black, it did not exist. It did not. People did not look at you, with your dark skin and think, oh, you must be able to play basketball. Or obviously basketball didn't exist 500 years ago, but you get the point. That whatever athletics was that you were necessarily good at, people didn't think that. That this was manufactured, that this comes out of a place. It's only through, having that varied interest that, allows you to see that. You can't see it if you stay home, if you just sit in your, your little bubble, in your space. And I think like what's true of me, and my interest in the problem of racism is probably true across the board for anybody, who might be interested in other things.